Hello. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the final, probably, Great Ace Attorney Chronicles stream. Probably. Not completely sure. We left off in the absolute middle of this trial. We haven't done a great job in figuring out exactly what they wanted from us all the time. But, you know, we're working on it. We're essentially trying to prove through a very recent murder of an inspector from Scotland Yard that the Justice Department's head was the true killer of 5 nobles 10 years ago. It's a tenuous connection. There's a lot of other smaller mysteries, but you should probably watch some of the other videos because at this point we're so deep into it, I'm just lost in the sauce. However, I remember leaving off at this point because I was like, at the very least I'll remember what we were doing, because the idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Sogi is impossible. He said he didn't kill anyone, and that's enough for me. Hopefully, everyone's doing great. This is just going to be a really low-key stream. We've got Easter next weekend, and then I'm not sure exactly when I'll be able to start our next game, so I thought, let's finish this before Easter. Let's chill out. And from that point in time, we can figure out what the next game for the weekends are going to be. Also, we're indicting the Justice Department head of Japan in the same format because we have caught them in a weird foreign exchange student, but actually those students are assassins plot. You know, typical stuff. Also, we're using to prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Sogi to commit this crime. Why is he surprised? That's Prosecutor Sogi. Anyways, I'm Twice. This furball next to me is Spook, also known as Lesta Burns. And, you know, just a lazy day, so enjoy. Hope you guys are as well. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Sogi's involvement? Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. No. Murder on the boat. Sogi said he left. Music in this game's so good. Pocket watch. No. ID. No. Phonograph. No. The completely faked Last Will and Testament. Since autopsy report. Passport. Sorry, Karuma. Evacuation journal itinerary. And I think it's the itinerary, honestly, because he said that he left for a boarding school. Or not, like a boarding house or something, right? He would have been seen.
Take that!
We saved recently, so if we're not right, then, you know, we just restart. Itinerary for the crew members of the Grouse is conclusive proof. How does that prove anything? Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant. The knight in question, as always, a Truman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, no one could have fired a shot inside the cabin. Inconceivable, he wouldn't have come to investigate. That tells us the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. We've really been finding our groove with these semi-visual novels. Exocolonist in this. Resident Evil, of course, the most visual novel of all these games, for sure. No flaw so far. Crucial point is when the evacuation drill took place, steamship had already put to sea from the port of Dunkirk. Now, clearly the murder could have only been committed by someone who was aboard the vessel at that time. But Sogi stated that yesterday he'd already left. Spent the night at a boarding house in the town, returned to England the following morning. Yeah, and he said he had a signature there, right? I'm sure the court will agree it's conclusive proof. Assuming Sogi couldn't possibly... Wow, as soon as I come into the room, you're just gone, huh? Huh? Is my talking that disturbing to your slumber? You slept all morning, I know, because I was right there, also sleeping. Absolutely not, I don't accept that at all. Boy's just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself nearby on the ship. I don't think so, because he said he had a signature to prove it. As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel, spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk, signed my name in the accommodations register book. Extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. Forget you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer as a common man. You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain in your own suitcase and dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street. Made it look as if the murder had happened there. That's what really happened, isn't it? Shishiro Chikoka. It was that damn trial 10 years ago. That's when all this began. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. It's over. My life is over. Wow. I mean, I don't believe that's the end. Might be the end for him, though. British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan, a Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago, though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. For that, you decided to recruit Mr. Sogi. But things didn't go according to plan, because he basically killed himself with a kitten. You found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement. Also, partially though, Sholmes was in on, not the request, but on the lack of fulfillment. I was already taking Sogi's place. That left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation, to eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The IFSS, which is happening right now. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain, so I enlisted the help of my British counterpart and made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. There's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation. The Reaper himself. Yeah, that's correct. The assassin exchange was all planned by the Reaper. I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. The one that you're staring at right now. The guy that's judging this entire thing. That one right there. Yeah. Okay. Dutifully got to my cabin. There was a trap decided to leave him in France in his own death. It was past 9 when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left that for the time being. And the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time, waiting for the evacuation notice. I intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had my chance, suddenly came around and went for me in a reckless move. Bang. Received the British-issued gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. And the victim was killed inside your cabin on the Grouse, which begs the question, why you arranged for his body to be discovered on the room in Fresno Street? Also, why are you defending this guy up there? When the first class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room, and then arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk. Or smuggle it past the border police. Yes, yes, yes. You need to take steps to convince the police that the body was discovered in London. But in that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Gregson's intended schedule. Yep. British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, who could take back his police identification. I thought that man would be the perfect person to set up for the crime, so I took a hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk. Man, I almost want to, yeah, this is one of those games you want to play through twice. A few years down the line just to remember everything and try to catch on some of the stuff that was mysterious at the time, but is now just ominous and sad a little bit. The girl selling firecrackers, conceived of the candle trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise, approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot. Bright red hairpiece, so I put that on. Though I suspect I drew more attention to myself than I would have otherwise. Yeah, I don't know if that would have worked. That's not quite a good disguise. It's like me replacing my hoodie with like a neon green hoodie. You know, what it's covering up is a little too big to actually be covered up, and now it's just brighter and more highlighted. 15 minutes later with the firecrackers. So Boone, who was going to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap, but Von Zeeks, who had been investigating him, showed up first. We've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. Witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such a vile nature, you can expect the most severe penalty. How do you just take this from this guy that you definitely know is the killer? What is going on? One last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin exchange? Nothing you say now can make matters any worse for you, because you're gonna probably die. Enough. I've already told you that I cannot say. Why not? And those things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can't we get this over with now? It's finished, all of it. I'm finished. Alright. I mean, I'm still looking at this guy. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. Oh, wow. Pyromancy. That's neat. Shojoku, it's the opinion of this court that you should be found guilty. Yeah, makes sense. Remind all those present, strict confidentiality demanded by this close court, which is a lot of judges from around the world, which helps in keeping this somewhat less kangaroo courty than it usually would be. Signed a written confession admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson, subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond a doubt. Something wrong. Just a little troubled by his silence. As far as the indictment brought against the defendant, this trial, we reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries as a prosecutor. As you wish. Now for the formal adjudication. Hereby declare the defendant Barak von Zieks.
Objection!
Prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Counsel. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all, and therefore it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. That is the prosecution's unwavering position. Nevertheless, Barak von Zieks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, prosecutor said. Certainly the murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Jigoku, but it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with a plot into the sick, merciless assassin exchange. So what I want to know is who coerced Jigoku? Who was pulling the strings? The victim went to France having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to be murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position to give such an order. He's already established the Reaper himself. Yeah, that's pure. Yep. Prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the... Oh my god, this again. Kazuma, what are you doing? I'm gonna prove my guilt. His guilt, not my guilt. I'm not guilty this time. That's just a common reflex in an Ace Attorney game that I've done something horribly wrong. The Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Counsel. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case? Scotland Yard has already investigated Von Zieks very thoroughly, and they found literally no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he was the Reaper, because he ain't. Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. It's already been established the assassin exchange was negotiated with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify definitively the man's identity. That's my intention. Okay. You are guilty of an unforgivable crime against fashion, Lord Von Zieks. And I will bring you to justice for it, whatever it takes. Oh boy. Yeah, Strongheart's like, yeah, sure. As long as it takes away from any suspicion on my end, I will on this occasion grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement with a Reaper and the assassin exchange. Supplementary hearing. Nice. Pray turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't sounded the contents of my hollowed chalice. First I had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now, and ever since that time I've endured the weight of the implied guilt that's gone with it. So I welcome the chance to testify now and crush those allegations once and for all. Alright, the prosecution seeks to begin building his case by calling the accused to stand as a primary witness in order they may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. What says the defense? You know, that's fine. You know, we'll get to the bottom of this. Xuma's kind of a turd burglar, but I knew it'd be like this, and I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise, as a lawyer and as his friend. Alright, let's do it. Take the witness stand and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the assassin exchange. As you wish, my lord. Never taken the life of another, nor have I instructed another to kill. I've been investigating the truth behind the Reaper for years, and I was aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day, and how I came to discover the body. So Gregson really was part of this whole thing, huh? That's a shame. I've been on a roller coaster of emotions with him. He's pretty cool. He's a turd. Maybe he was just doing his job. But he's doing bad things with the Reaper. Well, he probably was coerced, and he's dead. No, wait. No. What did you just say? There's no common thread between you. 1 second. Alright. Okay. This isn't true. Deny all accusations by the prosecution that you are the Reaper of the Bailey and that you masterminded the assassin exchange. Yeah. I acknowledge public at large believe me to be the Reaper, however, that's a fallacy, which I alone am in a position to forswear. Believe it to be untrue, blah blah. Let me ask you, why are you here? What really brings you to this courtroom? I was asked. Yeah, I was asked. Yeah. Even though the truth proves your client to be guilty? I mean, sure, but that's not going to happen. In my experiences in the courtroom, I've come to realize something. The truth can't be hidden. Sooner or later, it will come out. So it's always my intention to work with my client in pursuit of the truth. That's only backfired on me once so far for this character, and once again as my descendant. So, you know, it's pretty good odds. And you're just waiting to point it out. So I will point it out for you because there's obviously a contradiction. I don't think I even need to press. I think it just is. Yeah, that's fine. You've never killed or instructed to kill. You've been investigating. You're aware of Gregson's involvement. That's the reason why I went to Fresno Street that day. I also believe that. Point is, no common thread exists between myself. Yeah, okay. Let me bring it back to this secret hidden autopsy report, which has a coroner of John Wilson, your brother, as the victim, and Inspector Gregson as doing the autopsy. And I'll
objection.
Like you to explain that. Thanks. 10 years result from the autopsy of Lord Clint von Zeeks, my brother's autopsy report. Pleased to see the defense doesn't intend to run from the undeniable truth. I gotta slap this guy upside the head till some sense comes out like a piggy bank. What reason do you have for presenting a 10-year-old autopsy report here, Count? Mostly to stress you out, brother. Autopsy report of the professor's final victim is an indelible link between Gregson Wilson and the defendant. I've personally researched all the court records relating to that case. Thanks. I know at the time autopsy was considered sacrilege to the victim's souls, and for a member of the aristocracy like Clint, it was unthinkable. Someone implored the powers to be and allowed the autopsy to go ahead, Inspector Gregson. He declared he was certain he would obtain conclusive proof from the procedure, and it was Wilson who conducted the autopsy. His signature is clearly visible in the document. He's not the one who wrote it. It was Wilson. Dang it. Mikitoba. I get them confused because they look the same. It provided evidence, but what was the evidence? And was it planted? In my brother's dying moments, he mustered all his remaining strength to leave that vital clue behind. Indeed, that was the key to indicting the professor for his crimes, and conclusive evidence that convicted him and enabled Lord von Zeeks here to avenge his brother's senseless death with a marvelous victory in court. Marvelous victory, was it? I wonder if that's really true. Could the same be said if it turned out that the key piece of evidence in question was in fact fabricated? The inspector, the coroner, and the prosecutor all colluded together to cast an innocent Japanese man as a mass murderer and send him to his death. Outrageous. Now 10 years later, for some reason the secret has been threatened and needs protecting, which is why the inspector and the coroner had to be silenced. Yeah, I mean, they both were. Not only were they silenced, but the new coroner on the execution and the head of the jail were all put out to pasture in some way or another. But I do wonder why they had to be killed at that point in time. It was 10 years later. I don't know. 10 years ago, my father was convicted in this very courtroom as a mass murderer to be sentenced to death, but it was all a sham, and I swore to myself that I'd prove it, which is why I had to come to Britain. Whatever the cost. You have to forgive me if I feel compelled to toast this vengeful Nipponese tenacity of purpose here. However, he who fails to quash his emotions in the courtroom has failed as a lawyer. This won't wash. Come on, Kasumi. You claim your father was misrepresented in a trial that took place a whole decade ago? You must see without evidence that's nothing more than a wild accusation. As it happens, I have evidence. Across the channel to France, Gregson, on the 31st, I went with him on the pretext of being the assassin recruited to kill Jigoku, but my true intentions were to make the inspector tell me the truth. And that was a sham in and of itself. It was supposed to be Gregson that died. Truth about the evidence, he acknowledged what I'd already disclosed. There's a closely guarded secret about what went on in that autopsy 10 years ago. You know nothing of any secret. When we waited for my supposed mark in Jigoku's cabin, I drew my clan's illustrious sword Kuruma before the inspector's eyes. He very quickly understood what my true motive was. Right, I see. You're that Asogi's young lad, are you? What, you're gonna cut me down with that thing, that it? It will very much depend on the answers you give to my questions. I want to know what really happened 10 years ago. The truth. That's all. Before we get into it, let me make one thing clear. I still believe your father was the professor. There's no doubt in my mind. But unfortunately back then, we didn't have the evidence we needed to make the crime stick. So you admitted that? The evidence used in my father's trial was fabricated? It was for the good of the country. Anyway, I was just following orders. The good old Nuremberg trials defense, that works really well. Not saying another word. Even if your life depends on it? That's right, even then. That's when the tip of the sword broke. The result of Clint Van Zeek's autopsy were fabricated. Then the investigating officer, Gregson, and the lead coroner, Wilson, must have known about it. They could only have been ordered to pervert the course of justice in that way by one man. Man leading the No. Barak wasn't the one leading the case for the prosecution at the time. Strongheart was the one leading the prosecution, and then the day before, Barak basically pled for him to be the lead for the case because he wanted to avenge his brother. It was Reaper himself who liaised with Jigoku to complete the exchange. Still don't know why they need to be killed, but follows the Reaper's true identity. He can only be the man who stands accused. Nope. He wasn't the one prosecuting at the time, and I would like to bring that to light.
Objection!
Now. Kazuma Asogi. What you've just told the court, are you absolutely certain of your facts? Did Gregson really fabricate evidence for that trial 10 years ago? I heard it with my own ears. A shameful admission. In that case, I know the name of the Reaper. What? Lord Von Zeeks. I gave no such orders. I know that for certain. Which narrows down the remaining possibilities to one. Alright, it's taken us on odds 40 to 50 hours to get to this point, but hey, time to start closing the vice. It was Herlock Sholmes himself. No, alright. It was him.
Take that!
The only person who could have arranged the assassin exchange and manipulated the autopsy results is the Lord Chief Justice himself, Male Strongheart. It's true, 10 years ago the defendant handled the prosecution, but he only took over the case after his brother had been killed. I can only assume that this is the most inappropriate joke in British judicial history. Well, Lord Von Zeeks? 10 years ago I was very new to my profession, but I had a burning desire to avenge my brother's death, so I pleaded for control of the case. Investigation at that point, supplication of the lords to allow my brother's corpse to be examined, all the evidence I was given, the autopsy reports, it all came from you. I've spent my life since then believing I was in your debt for the way you stood aside and let me handle the trial, but I see now. I was very much mistaken. It was a hugely influential force that caused the inspector and the coroner to break the law 10 years ago, and the same force was still felt a decade later on the other side of the world by Jigoku. Lord Strongheart, everything falls into place when you recognize that you are the Reaper of the Bailey. The court awaits your response, my lord. This may very well go down in British judicial history, but I assure you, it is no joke. Consider this a formal accusal by the defense. It doesn't warrant a response. A formal accusal. Don't be absurd. Defense's claims are utter nonsense, a wild fantasy at best. You're not going to defend yourself. You claim there was some wrongdoing with Lord Clint Van Zeek's autopsy? That's utterly untrue. Heard it from Gregson's own lips. And where's your evidence? Gregson's dead now, unless you were thinking of summoning a ghost to the stand. Give it 100 years, bud. We'll get there. You mean to say, I forget how the system works in your little backwater country, but in the courts of the British Empire, without evidence, there is no case. No intention of entertaining some wild fantasy that can't possibly be substantiated. Yeah, but we know who wrote that autopsy. There was someone else in the room. It was Mikatoba. There's really no one left who could testify about the events 10 years ago, is there? The assassin exchange was for that. He was brought by the prosecution and defense is categorically denied. Take it there are no objections. I believe we both object to this. It's more or less waited a whole life for this moment. Is there really nothing else we can do here? There is. There is. There is. There is. There is. There's someone who can testify. There is someone who can testify. Oh, there's no one left. I mean, there is, but there wasn't an option. Dr. Scythe won't say anything in Strongheart. That also wasn't part of the autopsy. There is. I mean, there is. There is. I haven't overlooked them, I just wasn't allowed to. It's fine. Your silence is beautifully eloquent. I take it we reach the end of this debate then. The matter be closed for good. Nah. There is one person. Doing it for the truth. The person in the defense I'd like to call to the stand was Ijin Mikatoba himself. Heaven help us, another Japanese. Yes, he was literally one of the other two people. And the other two are either accused and are going to be convicted or are dead. So, yeah. Mr. Mikatoba was the primary assistant during the autopsy in question, and he penned the autopsy report. Incorrect. Nope. Actually correct. That's not his signature. Coroner merely read over the report at the end and signed it. Professor Mikatoba witnessed the entire autopsy from start to finish, and it'll be in his handwriting. We would like to summon him as a matter of urgency. Now, did he hold on to this, or did he just... Is he just going to help us with a clue? The demand is denied. He's literally here. We can summon him to the stand in 10 minutes. Of course, he's not going to agree to it. Strongheart has no intention of summoning anyone who knows. He's too concerned about protecting himself. Prosecutor Asogi, let me refresh your memory, as you seem to have forgotten the prosecution's stance. Only minutes ago, you accused the defendant of being the Reaper and a mastermind in the assassin exchange. Yeah, I did, but I was stupid, and now I'm a little less stupid. Present your evidence for those claims and make your case complete. At this time, I don't have the requisite evidence. That's exactly why we need witness testimony. Case is closed. There are no clues in the distant past that will bolster your argument today. I'm afraid to say, Prosecutor Asogi, that you would appear to be possessed by the spirit of your late homicidal father. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. As I stated earlier, this court has already reached a conclusion with respect to the matter at hand. Inspector Gregson was murdered by Japanese Supreme Court. Oh, you're back. Hello, kitty cat. Is there any hidden circumstances that may exist that will be investigated? You know, eventually. That'll just give the mastermind a whole bunch of time to cover his tracks again. By which you mean me? I do. Yeah, that's correct. Punishment for this contemptible behavior will be decided at a later date. As for you, Asogi, you will be remanded following these proceedings. Willingly, I trust, since you gave your word. This futile game of revenge is over. Young Master Asogi. Ooh, arg. I'm sure it's fine, yeah. Hold it. Close to the general public. Leave the courtroom at once. Objection. This guy is cool. And was instrumental in the apprehension of Jigoku before he fled from here. The court should hear what he has to say. Lord Man of Strong Heart, it's imperative that you refrain from bringing this trial to an end at this stage. Is it really, and why would that be? You'd only recall your own words from the opening of the trial to answer that question, if I may. We will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Surely it can't be. Now, the shock of being accused of being the Reaper yourself has erased that from your memory, can it? The whole truth, sir, has already been uncovered. It would seem we have a great many important members of the judiciary present here today. I put it to you, my dear fellows, should the trial end at this juncture? After all, why have you been invited to attend? To nod along to the prevarications of your superiors? Order in court. Seems to me we stand before a door that leads to a new era of legal practices, a door that is ajar. Let us emerge from the shadows of the Reaper's decade-long ascendancy. For you and you alone, my dear fellows, have the power to push this door open now. Honors in the gallery have no rights to express an opinion on court proceedings. Silence! Should go on. Summon the witness. My lord, you sure that you would uncover the whole truth here? Vindicate yourself of this outlandish accusation. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. A toast to my dependable colleagues in the gallery. You hear the voice of British justice, I take it. I think you'll find it'll be rather awkward to silence. The court will recess briefly. I have no intention of shrinking from these allegations. Bailiff, arrange for the subpoena of the witness at once. As soon as gentleman arrives at the courthouse, we shall reconvene. Oh, recess won't be necessary, my lord. Mikotoba is a close friend of mine. He accompanied me today and is waiting in the antechamber as we speak. I do believe he's been enjoying a little trip down memory lane, in fact. No one's in a better position to answer that question than you, surely, my dear fellow. I wasn't just asking for the fun of it. Well, let's do it. Further use here. Kindly leave the courtroom at once. Ah, but of course. In truth, I find myself rather busy now as a result of these developments. Mr. Naruhodo. Trust you have Iris' little lucky charm with you? Absolutely. Still in my pocket. She sends her regards and a reminder. If you find yourself at a dead end, ears are at your disposal. Just one tug, if you please. I will tug on pretty much every single that we are given. One strong hearts to bring the baby. Oh, it's gonna take us places. Ready to head into the heart of this maelstrom and Great. Will that give me more health? Because we are sorely lacking on the health side of things. I find myself rather duped. Part 3. Let's do it. Actually, Mikitomo, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University in Tokyo, Japan. Young lady beside you is Dr. Maria Gori, Scotland Yard's practicing coroner, the daughter of Dr. Scythe. I understand. Right, I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared. Oh, she was there at the same time. Got it. And her eyes boring into the side of my cheek constantly while I was in the antechamber too. Was she like 10 years old? Oof. Revelations about Dr. Scythe that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She is therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final. That's fine. We apparently have her daughter who is also there. We wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we? Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think. You think? I remember you, Dr. Mikitomo. I never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Certainly. Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart. Yep. Studied under Dr. Wilson's at Sinners. We're present at the autopsy of Clint. Noted all the doctor's findings. When we were done, he read through the document and cited it. Secondary assistant, she would have had such a good view of all the innards. Do you remember Inspector Gregson? Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his insistent, autopsy would never have happened. I was absolutely convinced it would reveal decisive evidence against Genshin, you see, so Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Precisely why I'm here. And I am also here. Evening, Pirate. How you doing? Your moment testimony verges on supposition. I will expel you from my courtroom. Yeah, okay. Alright, dude. Calm down. We're just trying to convict you of 5 murders from 10 years ago, and then about 30 murders for the past 10 years, and also illegal assassin exchange and general coercion of the Justice Department. It's not a huge deal. You can calm down. From own observations, couldn't say any indication of the autopsy results being fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixing the heart. That I did find a little strange. No other signs of internal injury. Nothing questionable at all. Just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant. Nothing to suggest fabrication, like the fact that you found it in the stomach, or the fact that it was a Western-style sword that killed him. Well, tell me what the piece of evidence is. Oh yeah, that's normal. Definitely not guilty at all. No, you look great. You're looking good, Mr. Male. Only fabrication has come from you, Ahsoka. You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. He freely acknowledged it. I swear he did. Freely, with the tip of a sword at his throat? The man was clearly at his wit's end. Court will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clinton Von Zeke's death. The testimony we have on the question uncovered the whole truth of the matter. I don't think so. I'd like to cross-examine it. Thanks. If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, and the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel. Beg your pardon. Well, you're aware of the facts of the case, obviously. All four of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats. It's the Hound of the Baskervilles. Curiously, the killer's last victim, Clinton Von Zeke, suffered a different fate. Stabbed through the heart with a sword. I believe I warned you about this, witness. Promised to curtail your testimony as soon as it entered the realms of supposition or speculation. Well, then I'll cross-examine him. Thanks. I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right. No authority can contravene the letter of the law. Every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have filled the court with judges, because they're pretty picky about their legality. The moment your argument strays from established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. That's fine, I really just need to figure out what the heck was in this man's stomach. They're like, oh yeah, it was a hamburglar. Hamburglar? Yeah, he ate the hamburglar. Indication supposed to be fabricated. Death resulted from a wound made Western style. Yeah, I find it a little strange too. Considering all the 4 killings previously attributed were killed by an enormous dog. Which is horrific, by the way. Correct, yet Lord Von Zeeks was stabbed. I think Von Zeeks may not have been one of the professor's victims. So he confessed to all his crimes upon his arrest. He admitted to having taken the lives of all 5 members of the aristocracy. But the beast was never identified. No evidence was found to suggest Genshin ever kept a dog. True hound of hell. There was an episode of Hannibal like this where the guy made like a wolf jaws and claws, and it really threw people off because they're like, people are getting mauled, but it was just a guy. Alright, give me that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence from this man's tum-tum. Sparkly and round with a hole, as if it might slip over a finger. There's a ring belonging to a Sogi. Why would he have swallowed... At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the Gigitus quartus of his left hand. You could just say the fourth or ring finger. That would have probably been better. My father left Japan for London 16 years ago. I was 8 years old, but I remember that ring. My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death, but the ring wasn't among them. Oh, it remains under lock and key still. That's interesting. The ring had been pulled off. I brought the ring along with me today. Oh, thanks, Gory. I really appreciate that, actually. Whoa, that is quite a ring. Absolutely incredible. How the heck did he swallow that? What a champ. What a glutton. Sort of read something into your hesitation, Professor. It's just that thinking back now. Didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body. Oh my. That precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see. Removal of historic evidence from the stores requires my consent, doesn't it? Solid counter-argument. Court can't deny it's crucial for today's proceedings. Alright, I'd like to look at that. Thanks. Actually, wait. If he swallowed that, there would be other internal injuries. So that doesn't make any sense. Why did I just not go to the left? The left would have made much more sense. These fat claws. Oh, my fingers bleeding. Claws really are sharp. That was very quick clumsiness, even for you. Couldn't swallow without doing yourself some fairly serious damage, surely. A sticky mochi bun would go down much better. That's true, yeah. But I might choke on it. Yeah. Anything else in this? Just taking a little look around. Okay, nothing else standing out. That's fine. So we're gonna go back to the no other signs of internal injury, nothing questionable at all. We're gonna press on it just in case. We do have 5 health again, so I don't have to like double check my responses every time with a walkthrough, so that we don't restart and I have to skip through a bunch of dialogue that we've seen a million times over. Useful can your testimony be in this case? It'd be different if your mother, Dr. Scythe, were in the stand, but... Read all the paperwork. Mama told me the story countless times. Statement I just made is exactly what's written in the autopsy report. I'd stand with no other signs of internal trauma. Alright. We'll present on that. She said there was nothing of note internally. But they did find an amazing piece of... Yeah. Literally unbelievable. Yeah. Okay. Another signs of internal injury. I find that super questionable because that's sharp. Prisoner of the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach. Didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikitopa? That's right. The moment I was fetching her replacement scalpel, Dr. Wilson has requested. Sure. That makes sense to me. You don't know if it came from the stomach or not. And I'm gonna bet it never did. So Wilson was also fabricating it. Boy, we really are kicking a guy when he's down and dead. We know nothing about this guy. Except that he was apparently Iris's father, but also maybe not. Pretending to have it there and then in the procedure. Supposition at best. What possible evidence do you have? My evidence is I just cut myself on this ring, and I am very clumsy. And I don't think anyone's esophagus is as dexterous as myself. How do you prove your point? You've already done it for me. The lack of internal injury says it all. To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination, and in addition to its size, there are the sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with. He was a determined man, alright? He could do it. I'm not saying he couldn't have swallowed it. I'm just saying your esophagus doesn't care. And there you arrived at the sticking point, quite literally. That's precisely why I had my doubts on the findings myself 10 years ago. Why didn't you say something at the time? I'm just an assistant. I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson in the laboratory that day. Look at this. Now, this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say? But isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson? You swallowed a ring of that size with those sharp metal claws that it has. Sure, you'd expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus, torn mucous membranes at the very least. They're like, Dr. Mikotoba, may I remind you to shut the heck up? I can think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. Now, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested this item as evidence to identify his assailant. No, I don't think so. Deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father. No. That argument is nothing more than speculation. Alright, how about you swallow it? We'll wait 3 days, and then we'll check out how your throat's feeling. No basis on which to doubt the man's expert opinion. Pardon my interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membranes of the throat is easily identified even in living subjects. Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. Government can pay. I don't think so. Rest assured, your removal of evidence from the stores without permission will not go unpunished. I really don't think she cares. We open up the dead to find the truth. Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up, with all her secrets inside. That's wrong. Showed them to walk a different path to her mama. Yes, the ring. I've just remembered something. An earlier incident. The one I recounted to you before. About a memory I have of Genshin Asogi saving my life. Right! He did get... Genshin and I were walking down some back streets at a late hour, all of a sudden. Don't make a peep. You're coming with us. All our saints were armed with pistols, their faces obscured by scarves. Next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street, while receiving from his left hand. He shielded me. It was the ring. The ring finger of his left hand he used to wear that ring. So it was stolen. always believed those thugs were after me, but now I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all. Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack, and in the short interval, the decisive evidence needed to indict him was miraculously found. That's what those thugs were after that night.
Objection!
Hey, we're trying to prove your father innocent there, Kazuma. You pathetic coward. Expect me to believe that you weren't involved? I do. Yeah. Good lord, man. Get a grip. It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. You stole my father's... No, good lord. Set the whole thing up so you could paint him as a mass murderer and have him arrested. I think that was before Clint died, actually. Open your eyes, Kazuma. You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured even when the judgment is only slightly clouded. But at the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog. Is that why you're so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this? Again, very innocent laughter. Yeah. You'd expect what a grandiose expression on your face if you were Lady Justice herself. Seems you've thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy results, so much so that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that would be born out of it. Though it's extremely hard to believe, let us imagine that there was some misconduct during the autopsy. If that were the case, why would Asogi not have disputed the findings in his trial? Closed court hearing 10 years ago, defendant never once denied the claims against him. But why would you do that? That does make it really difficult. Actions of a man who accepted responsibility for his deeds and was resigned to his fate. No fabricated evidence.
Objection!
Weren't for the frank words just now, this trial may very well have ended prematurely. My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound, but for one giant mistake. My father's sentence due to the fact there was no fabricated evidence, but there's another possible explanation. You've overlooked the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence. Silence that would lead to him being convicted and sent to his death? The autopsy results were an invention. There's no conceivable reason why the man wouldn't have protested. Well, those results were an invention, alright. There's no question of that. Or are you forgetting that two people with a connection to the autopsy have been assassinated? By forced the grievances I feel for my mind, I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusion these 10 years. Reason for his father's silence at the trial. Why would he have said nothing even though he was innocent? Part of some negotiation, perhaps? What proof do you have that could possibly explain silence in court? Hanging and abetting the escape of the prison of Conway just prior to his execution. He can escape. Conceived prior to the convict's incarceration. Convict engaged in some form of negotiating with prison staff in order to secure assistance. Full disclosure. Sure. Yeah, let's try it. Why not? It's true Usogi's silence during his trial resulted in his conviction, but that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, we discovered pretty easily that he was trying to escape and then he was shot dead. I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way, and the defense is correct. Fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and jailbreak inside a coffin. Clearly such an elaborate plan couldn't have been carried out by my father alone. With the help of a collaborator. I think he had the help of multiple collaborators. Prior to his incarceration and everything. In exchange for a silence in court, he was given an assurance he would be broken out of prison. The sort of clandestine agreement in place, I can imagine he would have kept very quiet. I can go further than that, in fact. I would say elaborate jailbreak can be explained in no other way. And it was a closed court system, so nobody would have known who the professor was. Fabricated evidence, now a jailbreak conspiracy? Yeah, of course. It's all intimately linked. New witnesses summoned to the stand. Yeah, let's call in the guy who got fired and the guy who fired him. Well, this trial turned to a farce. Summon the governor of the prison after all these years. Oh, wouldn't be any trouble, my lord. We, already called him. Your friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times. I can assure you he is extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier, asking Governor Caden and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey as a matter of extreme urgency. Sholmes did that. Are you telling me that? Oh yeah, both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment. Well, ain't that handy-dandy? Lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declared at its outset. You promised them you would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Very well. Bring in the witnesses. Make no mistake. Yeah, keep threatening. Yeah, keep threatening it. Come on. New witnesses state their names and occupations for the court, please. Barricading. Barricading. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Everyone calls me gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits to passers-by. Come on, Vigil. Any other persona, if you don't mind? Oh, I do beg your pardon. Of course. Name's Daily Vigil. Used to be chief warder at Barclay Prison. Testifying about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago. I've been through all this for a decade ago. The conclusion was that there wasn't anything untoward. Actually, what you wrote was that there was a lot of things untoward that happened. Ah, well, you got me there. Death certificate was falsified after he was allegedly executed and he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. I've never been carried out without help from somebody of influence inside the prison. I don't imagine the passage of time affords you any protection. If it turns out that you were involved in the plot to break Mr. Usogi out of your prison, then of course, consequences will be very serious. And you're missing, there's the other guy, but in all likelihood, a capital punishment. All I did was... What'd you do? Governor Katie. You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country, and a great responsibility to shoulder. The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. Sogi, if you threaten the witness again, you'll be held in contempt of court. Yeah, whatever, dude. Like, come on. Shove it. Order, plant management scenes. I was responsible for Sogi right up till the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot. And I can if there was some negotiations between the convict and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for the great British Empire. Who authorized that plan? Didn't I ken that? Saying you don't know? Listen, there was nigh a thing about that professor case that was nigh unusual in some way. Didn't I ask any questions? Just did what I was told to do. More than that, I could not tell you. I see. If the jailbreak plan originated from the prosecutor's office, then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Asogi and that office. Jailbreak was promised in exchange for Asogi admitting to crimes he didn't commit. Did he even put this jailbreak on in the background so that he would... Well, no, because then he wouldn't have had to... He would just let him be executed and it would have been fine. He could have been negotiating with Strongheart. Strongheart would have just let him rot. I don't see how this witness says any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to a cross-examination? As literally always, yes. I've cross-examined so many things at this point. The fact that I would ever say no to a cross-examination is tantamount to just incompetence. Cross-examined an orca, cross-examined a parrot twice. Did we cross-examine a parrot in this game? I feel like we did. Maybe not. It's fine. Then the Japanese jock was found guilty. Directive came from the prosecutor's office. I assigned the convict to the chief ward vigil here and put the plan into action behind the scenes.
Hold it!
Don't know who issued the directive. That's right. All I can be sure of is that it was official. When it was from the office, that narrows down who could have issued it straight away. And it wasn't me. Can I even say with certainty that it did originate from the prosecutor's office? I'm telling where it started. Fair chance came up from higher up the ladder. Basically, I cannot give you any indication of who was behind it. Alright, cool. Nah, that's great. All we can say for sure is that the order must have come from somebody in authority, I suppose. Likes of us on the ground hasn't learned, and I bother with idle speculation. You just get the job done.
Hold it!
You assigned Vigil with the plan in action. Vigil didn't know anything about it at all. That's right. My only role in the scheme was as a scapegoat. That's nice. That's real nice, you guys. That's right, isn't it, Governor? Some poor beggar had to take the rap for it. Alright then. Who else did know about the plan? Not the first idea, laddie. My point in the whole business was basically just dealing with the aftermath. Wouldn't I be surprised if there were other folk in the prison service who'd been given similar orders? Don't know who else was involved. Okay, that's helpful. The night it actually happened, the person at the reins was Dr. Stevens. Dr. Scythe, as she's known now. Caught up in such a terrible business. Responsible for Asogi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot. I think you took... One of you took the dictation of his will, which I think is going to come to a head very soon. Everything was unusual, exception after exception. I was a professor. Man had terrorized country as never before with his crimes. In order to hide his identity, he was forced to wear an iron mask over his head. Hideous treatment. Well, it was surprisingly docile for someone who'd taken the lives of 5 of the country's nobles. Being the chief warder, I was the only person permitted to approach his cell. I can still hardly believe that I was duped by my own country. You jumped from the window of the governor's office when the jailbreak was blamed on you, didn't you? Losh, Vigil, can I apologize enough? No, Governor, I don't believe you can. It won't change what's happened. What else can you tell us about the situation, Governor Caden? And I can if there were some negotiations. I was just told, hello. That's Paul right there, isn't it? Good for you. There's been some sort of negotiation. It's the only explanation. Well, be that as it may, I didn't care nothing about that. Witness stand is no place for telling what you don't know for sure. I can that much, I do. I presume you also know this. Not telling what you do know is a criminal offense. Gasp. Just following orders. Yeah, lots of Nuremberg stuff. You heading out again? Time to do another round of watching the birds and eating some food and possibly pooping in my room. Classic stuff. It's a tiring time being a cat, you know? Very well found complicit in murder. Even with the threat of conviction, you won't break your silence. Man, why is everyone so rigid? All I did was carry out my duty. Yeah. I don't think this press will do anything, but just carry the plan out in its entirety. I did everything I could at the time. As you know, Genshin Asogi was shot dead in the cemetery after the escape. Tell me, was that part of the plan too? My instructions were to do with getting the jock out of the jail and nothing more. Can I tell you anything about what happened after that? Only, personally, I believe his death was the last part of the plan.
Excuse me.
But why even do that? Why not just let him rot? I assume, well, I guess you couldn't, he would have not complied as soon as anything was untoward, so getting everything right with the jailbreak and then still killing him would mean everything went smoothly behind the scenes. He wouldn't have raised the stink. Whereas if as soon as he confessed and he was sentenced to execution, he would have written the last will and testament, then questions may have come up. That's my best guess. Some sort of Barclay convention? Governor Caden was just saying he seemed to upset you. Can I bring something to mind, perhaps? For the last 10 years, I've completely blotted out the memories of that time from my mind. I was betrayed by my superiors in the name of my country. Also, my father was betrayed, it seems. You see, thinking back now, I really can't imagine the shooting of Mr. Asogi in the cemetery was ever part of the plan. It just doesn't make sense, does it? To make the man admit to crimes he didn't commit with the promise of a jailbreak, only to kill him in the end? It's treachery of the worst kind, but the point is, if the intention was always to betray him, you could have just let him rot, right? Why would there be any need for any of the chicaneries of an escape? Whoever negotiated with Sogi never intended to keep his or her end of the bargain. It would have been far simpler to just let the man be executed in prison. Oh, okay, well they covered it. That's good writing right there. I had a question, it was immediately questioned by the people. Unsettling mystery, certainly. Truth be told, there's a wee matter that's never quite made sense to me. If you believe there was some kind of negotiation behind the jailbreak between Asogi and a body at the top, it does not quite add up, does it? Governor Caden, I must insist you explain these doubts that you have by amending your formal testimony. Looking a little less happy now. Seems to me the Japanese fellow and I have nothing to bargain with. The only weapon I have left. I need all material possessions, wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son. I mean, only weapon you have left.
Objection.
Seems pretty, bog standard. Good to present. Confessing under oath the murders he didn't commit on a verbal assurance that he would be broken out of prison, Asogi was taking an incredibly risky gamble. Nothing stopped the British breaking their word and executing him behind closed doors anyways. Under normal circumstances, no man would stake his life on a gentleman's agreement like that. Which means that Mr. Asogi must have had a trump card. Something that guaranteed he wouldn't be betrayed. Some kind of weapon. The last will and testament. Turns out Mr. Asogi was hiding his will in his cell at Barclay. Chief Warder Vigil caught him with it one day. You squealed, did you, you wee rat? Did I not tell you keep that a secret? You can't touch me now. That's true. When Mr. Vigil caught sight of the will through the bars of the convict's cell, Mr. Asogi pleaded with the warder. Right then, what's that on the paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. A weapon. And after the convict had been killed following the elaborate pretense of the jailbreak, that document mysteriously disappeared, didn't it? Well, yes, all the prison warders searched through the belongings in a cell, but that will was just nowhere to be found. As I understand, an exhaustive search was made for the document, which became known as the Asogi Papers. Governor Caden, I believe you ordered your prison staff to find it at all costs, didn't you? Would I be right in saying you knew? You knew that the so-called Asogi Papers had the potential to make great waves somehow? Blazes are you blethering about? The will was found right and proper in the fellow's cell where I said it would be. How can that be? Where in his cell? We all searched the place from top to bottom. Why didn't I do a proper job then, you peely-wally galoot? Can't criticize me now. I showed it to you before, didn't I know, young lawyer? Yeah, it was really, really suspicious. It's written in Japanese and reads the last will and testament of Genshin Asogi. Which means everything is as it should be. Not quite. See, there's undeniable inconsistency here. Mr. Asogi described this document as the only weapon he had left, and yet this will contains nothing of significance at all, nothing that would have given the convict any leverage. I'm suggesting it was forged. Yes, that's correct. As has clearly been demonstrated already, what went on at the Barclay prison was far from above board. That last vilification by the defense was an affront to the entire British legal system. Yeah. How about that, huh? Absurd notion of weapon is something for which we only have the former chief warder's word. Man could quite easily be lying, or at the very least, sorely mistaken. No, I definitely heard him say that. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know exactly what happened with these so-called Asogi papers. A waste of time. If the will was fake, where's the real document?
Objection!
All his belongings did get sent back to Kazuma. I'm starting to wonder if some of the belongings may have contained the will. Do it again. You're ready to brand him a liar and turn your back on him without even letting him defend himself. It's clear that person is hiding something. Jailbreak was masterminded by somebody in the prosecutor's office. It's clear that some illicit negotiations took place. Is your lordship just going to gloss over these obvious and reprehensible facts? The trial must go on. The man's voice must be heard. Seem a vocal few here are utterly blind to the truth. Very well then. Let the witness testify again. Tell the court precisely what you think you saw of the convict's last will and testament. Alrighty. We're getting somewhere. We're responsible for condemned convicts. I tend to Mr. Sogi kept watch over his cell night after he was... That's a good animation. He was doing something with that will in his cell. He turned the cell inside out looking for it after the execution, but to no avail. Only found out about the Asogi papers when the directive came telling me to impound them. The document was in the folds of the fellow's robe that was left in his cell. A kimono, I think it's called. That's a lie. We searched every inch of the man's cell. We looked through all his clothes. It can't be true. You're not satisfied with calling me a liar the once, eh? You wee waffinger. What do you do about it now? You don't have any hold over me anymore. Other than the hold you like to take onto my cravat, of course. Is that what you're gonna do, isn't it? You gonna give me a good shake again? Or are you too scared? Nah, okay. He wasn't too scared. What a double act. He complied with the will as far as is possible. All his personal effects were delivered to his family home in Japan. It's currently the homeland of the most notorious killer our country has ever seen. And we were much obliged. I confirm all of my father's belongings arrived safely. Can I deny the handwriting inside of your old man, eh? Yeah, there's no mistaking this is my father's brushwork. Really? Last will and testament was the man's last weapon, was it? You can safely assume that the convict was merely prattling, knowing that his end was nigh. Again, very innocent smile, male. Might maybe work a little better on that whole innocent thing. Alright, I mean, we're just gonna press on everything, so... Nothing is super standing out. And you can get some very intriguing things from pressing on things that don't make any sense anyways. So we will do that. It's remarkably calm considering his days were very short. In all honesty, he really didn't strike one as a man capable of mass murder. Confessed in full to his crimes. I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life. Yes. He was so tranquil and intelligent. Put me in the mind of an Eastern holy man. Melodrama. I remember it very well. Night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with the will in his cell. What was he doing? That seems important. Pleaded with you not to report him. Yes. That's right. the Bampont Yari, didn't I tell you? Blatant breach of trust, that was. Again, you definitely doomed this man's life. Basically ruined all future employment opportunities and sent him spiraling for 10 years. According to what you told us 2 days ago, the convict had been strictly forbidden from having any writing materials whatsoever. Quite right. So when exactly was the will penned? Before the man was remanded in Barclay, obviously. The prosecutor's office, under supervision of all the relevant authorities, I personally instructed Asogi to make a will for the benefit of his family and his homeland. In that case, why was it found in his cell? If it was penned to the prosecutor's office, you would have expected that it would remain there for safekeeping, surely. Did we not think about this? It is curious. Doesn't seem any obvious explanation for why it was subsequently found in the cell. Well, it's an astute point. It is. Prison governor, can I be expected to ken the inner workings of the prosecutor's office? In that case, Strongheart, perhaps you can shed some light on the matter. I'm unable to offer an explanation here and now. Very helpful. Cool. The fact that my father's will was discovered in his cell is clearly inconsistent with what was expected. I want to know why. Another inexplicable mystery, then. Consults.
Hold it!
No avail. Governor ordered the search for the will. When I reported back, we couldn't find it. He grabbed me by the cravat and yelled, "Can I have disappeared completely?" in my face. Governor needs a wee taste of some medicine. Point is, it was clearly considered a very important document, wasn't it? Proved impossible to find. Before I knew it, it was in the morning paper. A blood-curdling article. See a mass murderer rise from the dead. Right. Tale of the third case. For Mr. Drebber. Sogi, resulting in my immediate dismissal, but I don't remember anything after that. As governor of the prison, I had no choice. Couldn't I have done anything else?
Hold it!
Where'd the directive come from? Same source as the one that you didn't know about the jailbreak? Great. Nah, that's good. Cool. What I can tell you is my orders would do everything in my power to find that document. Except it had to be inside a cell. Document not will, huh? Clutching a strong seal. Just wonder if it was really Genshin Asogi's last will and testament that the sender of the directive was after. Makes sense that it wouldn't be. Couldn't have his personal effects, blah blah blah. Reluctant to part with them. Some books. That kimono. A sword. There's the soul of my family. I don't doubt it, but I wasn't really getting that. I mean, the soul of the clan. Could the man have had a more obvious weapon? Scary firearms all times, inmates have shackles around their ankles. Could not have hurt anyone with that thing. Yeah, okay. Allowed a sword, but no writing materials. Mikito was asked to bring necessary Japanese writing influence to the prosecutor's office. Inkstone, black sumi ink, and some ancient rice paper. No doubt. Sorry to say, letters look like a...
Excuse me.
Feeling faint, Mr. Vigil? Hello again. Have you made your rounds? Another exhausting day as a cat? Another owl? Mr. Vigil, it was Scarlet, sir. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. Didn't mean to blurt it out like that. Less swaying and more explaining would be helpful. Something about the testimony we just heard? You recalled something of importance? Something of importance, possibly. Or possibly not. But I will tell which way he's leaning. Well, it's changing pretty constantly. Defense asks that Mr. Vigil be permitted to supplement his testimony with this possibly or possibly not important detail. Permission granted. Go ahead, Mr. Vigil. It was Scarlet. What was Scarlet? So I remember the document was written in scarlet ink, but perhaps I'm mistaken. It's all about the red hair piece this whole time. No, but last weapon. I mean, that's great, but I'd like to look at this specifically. No, not allowed to look at that. Okay, just the tip that's missing. I get it. I'm not happy about that. Written in scarlet. I mean, this might be crazy, but I'm wondering if it was written on the swords.
Objection!
Okay. Wasn't that? Let's press on it.
Hold it!
Just press. Scarlet, you say? Well, yes, I mean, I only caught sight of it for a brief moment, of course, but even by the dim light in the cell, I remember thinking it was an unusual color. At the very least, I'm quite sure it wasn't black. Is that really what you saw in this? What? Sir? Something wrong, Lord Strongheart? I apologize. Continue. Make of that. Plain see right in here. It's as black as the Earl of Hell's watched. Yeah, you're right. I'll turn one point with you. Did you actually see the content of the document Mr. Sogi was holding that night? Well, no. I mean, there was no time. As soon as he noticed me there, he hid it behind his back. It's definitely a will, was it? Yes, it was. That's what Mr. Sogi told me. We have the will in question in our possession. There's nothing more to add. Will written in scarlet ink. What did Mr. Vigil really seek Suma's father holding, I wonder? I have an inkling. It was presented. I did present it to the court, but it wasn't the right thing. He was hiding something. Something or nothing. Yeah, I mean, but I wasn't even, like, allowed to look at... I mean, we can, like... Yeah, that. Okay. So, no. Dismissal notice, no. 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 Maybe. Passport, no. Anything else about this that is suddenly appearing to us? Doesn't look like it. Telegram from Japan, from Hosonaga, yeah, evacuation drill. I don't know what else it could be. Written in Scarlet. I don't know. Let's poke around here. Tip's broken. I'm just wondering if that... Anything else, though? Written in Scarlet. Red ink. Okay. That's red ink. Probably not the Red-Headed League. There's nothing here that's Scarlet. All are done paying other financial benefits fully revoked. Escape from this prison economy just prior to this. Okay. Okay, I don't think anything there. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Seeing the... I don't think so. Gregson's photograph. Black and white, so it doesn't really make sense. Gregson's body... that doesn't make any sense. We need to... Anything that's in the past would make sense. That's not in the past. That's not in the past. This is in the past. Deep sadness, I accept my fate in this foreign land with the knowledge I will never see my homeland or family again, but I regret nothing about my chosen path. I don't see anything there. Gregson's trip. No, there's nothing else in there. Autopsy. Recent Scarlet ink stains. Okay. What does that have to do with anything? Scarlet-colored writing is what you said you thought you saw, Mr. Vigil, and I believe it's exactly what you did see. Have a look at this report. It's my brother's autopsy report. Yes. And there's something in here that's bothered me since I first read it. It states that scarlet-colored ink stains were noted on the fingers of the victim's right hand. Now, I'm not familiar with the habits of the British aristocracy, I freely admit, but I would hazard a guess that they don't all go around with ink stains on their fingertips. Do they? Your wit is not appreciated. My brother was a well-bred and fastidious man. Should ink have sullied his fingertips? he would have cleaned them off immediately. What's your point, Counsel? The point is this. Whenever Lord Clinton Van Zieks was writing in the unusually colored ink, it must have been directly before his death. Because he died before he had the opportunity to clean his hand. So, Clint sent something to Genshin, right? Or Genshin had something that belonged to Clint that he had wrote down. Seen, the inkwell was open. Clint was punctilious about something that seemed unusual, and no document penned in the color of the ink that was in the inkwell was ever found, so the document had disappeared. So the document my father had in his hand that night in his cell was the same document that Lord Clint Van Zieks was writing moments before his death. And it was... Mr. Vigil's testimony is to be believed. It can only mean that, yes. Mr. Vigil. I was barking up the wrong tree a little bit. You spotted Sogi. Cell's precise words as follows. Were they not? And then, what's on the paper? A last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. It was Clint's last will and testament. If the conversation really did go as Mr. Vigil says, then what we now know completely changes the meaning of what Mr. Asogi said. You really think Mr. Vigil did indeed see the convict with a will, but it wasn't that of Genshin Asogi. It was the last will and testament of Lord Clint Van Zieks. He knew he was going to die.
Objection!
This is madness. My brother's last will and testament? That would mean that he had chosen to die. That is what it would mean, yes. No, impossible. That is utterly out of the question. Van Zieks. Clint was pursuing the professor. It consumed him day and night. Whatever happened, he would never have abandoned his investigation before its conclusion. Never. He wouldn't rest until the job was done, until the killer was caught. The idea he would willingly accept his own death.
Objection!
And yet we can be sure that he was writing his will moments before his death. That Genshin Asogi came to be in possession of that document. So what could the will possibly have contained? Here's something that couldn't be made public under any circumstances whatsoever, because armed with that document, my father was able to negotiate with the judiciary for his life. Something so damning that it prompted the powers to be to enact that daring jailbreak plot. Yes, there can be no question the will contained the information of the utmost secrecy. Information of the utmost secrecy, eh? I don't know what this means. I assume it's something to take Strongheart down, but I don't know. I've heard more than enough. Pursuing this notion of a phantom will nobody can attest to having seen serves absolutely no purpose. No, my lord, that's unacceptable. What did you say, counsel? The last will and testament that Genshin Asogi had in his possession was that of Lord Clint Van Zieks. All the testimony and evidence presented to the court has logically led us to that as a possibility. We have a duty to pursue the line of reasoning to its conclusion. No possible means of knowing the contents of the document. There's no line of reasoning to pursue. Unless it was sent along with his belongings. Reason why Clint Van Zieks, a man of high noble standing, would have chosen death. Information so secret, people in the judiciary would be willing to negotiate a jailbreak and condemned killer. I assume it's like Strongheart. He knew that Strongheart was the killer and chose to die. Difficult situation will become you work with your client in pursuit of the truth. You resolved to do when you entered the courtroom this morning, if I'm not mistaken. Hold your head high and keep soldiering on. Okay. Ten years ago, in his final moment, Clint Van Zieks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Asogi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. In all probability, the details in the will were related to the Professor case. Yeah, that makes sense. This last statement is mere conjecture. What are you getting at, man? Very nice game. soon as these words come out of my mouth, there's no going back. I believe that the last will and testament of Lord Clint Von Zieks was in fact... I mean, I think it was an accusation. Yeah. It's not to explain why Sogi took it, since it was he who was implicated in that. No, in that case, the will wouldn't have given Mr. Sogi any bark. Oh. Accusation was against some other person. Yeah, that would be my guess, yeah. If that were the case, the two men would surely have collaborated to pursue the culprit together. Oh. Your whole argument falls down. Oh. A confession that he knew Strongheart wasn't the killer? I haven't. I'm very stupid. Hideous. Report doesn't make sense. Confession to what? Can do this, Mr. What Lord Clint Von Zieks actually penned that day was a confession regarding the mass murderer known as the Professor and his true identity.
Objection!
Makes sense to me, yeah? Enough, counsel. What are you saying? Do you even realize? Confession about the true identity of the Professor. That would mean... No! His brother was the Professor? A killer that terrorized London a decade ago and became known as Professor. A man believed to have murdered 5 members of the aristocracy, murdered 4. And himself. The man believed to have been the 5th victim was the Professor. Alright, I didn't see this one coming whatsoever. Ooh. Oh. Barrock's not going to be happy with us anymore. Sorry, Barrock. Sorry, Barrock. It's finally open, is it? Pandora's box. The great Von Zieks family, they've been thoroughbreds to the British judiciary for years, and Lord Clint Von Zieks, a paragon of justice in the capital. He was actually a mass murderer, perpetrator of atrocities of the vilest nature. If the general public ever found out, law and order of this country would be finished. This is bad. I wonder, though, did he never suspect? Lord Barrack Von Zieks is a brilliant prosecutor. Is it conceivable that he didn't... I mean... No, we shouldn't compare me to him. I'm very dumb. He probably did. What the fuck? Lord Von Zieks. The Professor made use of an enormous hound as his murder weapon. Tell me, did your brother own a dog? Yes, he did. Balmung. It's a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant. Don't believe this. When my brother would go hunting in the forest on the grounds behind the house, he always took Balmung. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too. Almost as if he were following his master. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck. That was the centerpiece of case number 4 and 7 in this game. Some years ago now, stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night. Myself and my colleagues have come across such a collar during our time in London. There's an old emblem attached to the collar made of pure gold. Big old bee. A lot of blood. Oh. Emblem bearing the initial B. It's the insignia of the Baskerville family. Baskerville is the family name of my late brother's widow. That pure gold emblem was an heirloom which Clint acquired upon their marriage. There can be no doubt, then. The collar you described was Balma's. Family insignia of Lord Clint von Zeke's widow. Considerable amount of blood on the collar. When he saw it, the dog was used for hunting. It could have been from its quarry, of course. But it could equally have been from human prey. So is it true, then? Clint von Zinks really was the professor. Possible. These Japanese are making it all up to exonerate their... I'm not exonerating my own, I'm exonerating... Oh my god. The person responsible for the murders of the nobles and royals was a noble himself, and that threatened to be an enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society. My father knew that and was using it to negotiate his way out of the unjust charges brought against him, but at the very last hour, those he bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil. Well, can you deny it, Lord Strongheart? 10 years have passed, and still now, the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital rest easy believing that justice was done. That, though his anonymity remains, the diabolical murder was caught and executed. Very well, then. You may have the truth. Tell me what Clint really was. Lord Clint von Zeeks was too pure of heart. When he became a prosecutor and went in pursuit of the black roots of crime, he drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish oneself. The 19th century was a truly miraculous 100 years for Great Britain, and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. These dazzling new developments meant even deeper shadows were cast on society. Water sullied by factories, air thick with noxious fumes, and crime growing daily to fill the darkness. Lord Clint von Zinks made it his mission to combat that darkness, but as time went on, it slowly ate at his soul, until eventually he was consumed. It's ironic, really, and somewhat surprising, that the truth has once again been unearthed by a Japanese. What do you mean? 10 years ago, your father, Genshin Asogi, turned up at my office one night. Professor, yes, beyond all shadow of doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. The man comes from one of our country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice here in the capital. So I none of you British can see it. Using his noble status as a diversion while he commits these atrocious crimes behind the scenes. Do you have evidence? Nothing definitive as yet, but he keeps an enormous savage hound on the estate. In full support of the judiciary, for this we're up against a member of the aristocracy. Large family estate is a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard out of this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student. So I turned down Asogi's play, and as a result, he took it upon himself to visit the Von Zeeks mansion on his own. You can only imagine now what happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course. Lord Clint von Zeeks perished. But he died to a Western sword. Which doesn't make a lot of sense still. In actual fact, Kazuma-sama's father did He made the late Lord Van Zeeks meet the same fate. He put a permanent end to the Professor killings. So he did bring an end to someone's life, but it was Clint. Is what you're saying. As soon as I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened. And what about the will? Sogi must have already taken it. Nothing of that nature was found at the scene. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at that time. It's really hard because the only one who can truly report on this is the guy who obviously has done some things. I was the only person who knew the true identity of the Professor, so I resolved to keep it a secret and to guard the secret to the bitter end. So you're admitting to it, that you were behind it all. Was you then who pinned the crimes on my father? I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire. Even if that meant employing an unforgivable ruse. Fabricated evidence, the detective to take care of it, whilst keeping the truth from him, naturally. Obviously, he opposed me at first. You all feel wrong. You can't do something like that. There's no question that it was Asogi who murdered Lord Van Zeeks. The house staff have made statements they all saw the man running from the mansion that night. Yes, well, I've no doubt it was the Japanese fellow. We haven't got a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. Worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog. So we're short a murder weapon to boot. And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage for the good of the country. So use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, Detective? That night 10 years ago when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets, and Genshin's ring was taken. That was him, was it? That was Gregson and some hired help? Detective handed the stolen ring to Wilson, and feigned its discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy. It seems he had already struck a deal with his accusers, but she agreed to silently accept the charges. Don't believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such underhand dealings. It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness. You, Kazumi Asogi. Perhaps you have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi. Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate and accept your guilt without contention, and you will see Japan and your son again. Scoundrel. Whether you choose wisely or not, it will be a closed trial by order of Her Majesty, so whatever rash claims you might make in court will have no trouble in stifling them. There's only one outcome for you, Soki, the gallows. Don't forget that I still have a weapon at my disposal, a document revealing a truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason I'm willing to bargain with you. I only want to protect this country's law and order. You understand? It was simply to protect Britain from the damage the truth could do. This country's law and order at any cost.
Objection!
I've never dared let myself even consider this possibility till now, but in the light of all this treachery, I have to ask. The mastermind behind the Reaper of the Bailey, was it you, Lord Mail Strongheart? Rather brilliant idea, wouldn't you say, Lord Baroque von Zix? But the spirit of your late brother, that paragon of justice, should return to reap justice for his sibling. Could there be a more appetizing tale for London's masses, I ask you? I knew you'd play the part to perfection, but your role really wasn't that of some embodiment of death. No, you were London's guardian angel. Angel with bloody hands? I think not. Those who had cooperated with me already were only too happy to participate in my plan. Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson. My minions worked tirelessly to ensure that the finger of guilt could never come to rest on you. All thanks to them, you were exalted as the demigod the Reaper became. But Wilson left Britain 4 years ago, and he was invited to work in Japan. That's right. So I had to employ the services of his young protege after that, Dr. Courtney Scythe. So, with the execution of the Professor and the subsequent reign of the Reaper of the Bailey, I've successfully safeguarded law and order in our mighty capital for the past decade. That is everything. You're a psychopath. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, I do hereby confess it was I who sired the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in my defense, it was all for the preservation of law and order across the entire empire. If it was all in the aid of keeping London safe, yeah, I don't think you should be killing people. Just a guess. No one left now can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I'd like to entreat all those present, beyond these 4 walls. Nobody need know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. Trust you all appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. Can you do this? Can the trial really end now? I sure don't think so. One last question. For the accused. Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor, so I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. You never suspected your older brother. Same thought occurred to me. Untouchable for my brother is a source of great turmoil. Time for scones, my brother did not appear to be himself. That made you suspect? It was only once, nothing more. Clint wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time, and I still believe that now. But that's not true. Do you have any evidence to support that idea? The third victim was the Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it's unthinkable my brother could have killed his friend and mentor. That will do. Neither Clint Van Zeeks nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth, however much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. Only 2 excellent pieces of evidence from the time. The woebegone ring that acted as the incriminating evidence that you yourself fabricated, and the 3-page Last Will and Testament printed black ink and left behind by the man. The wretched truth of what happened is exactly as I have explained. Later today, I'll present myself at the Minister of Justice for whatever sanction is deemed appropriate. That is all. Court is adjourned.
Objection!
Yeah, there we go. wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery. Must insist the trial continues. This court has been reminded today already. We must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. And to that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very subtle contradiction. He was asked the accused one simple question. We'll begin with Lord Van Zeeksen's recollection about his brother, but Strongheart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length. He merely pointed out we can draw no further useful conclusions. So where on earth's the contradiction? Well, he definitely just said something contradictory. Yeah. Neither Clint nor Genshin Asogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There are only two extant pieces of evidence from the time will be gun ring, and the 3-page last will and testament penned in black ink left behind by the man. Care to explain? One of the statements you made, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we had. Whilst an inconsistency remains, the defense has right to pursue an examination. Yeah, statements making warn. Yeah. Proof fatal? Fatal. Okay. He said 3-paged will and testament, right? How many pages this will got? Well, it kind of looks like 2 pages. Hoss.
Take that!
So here's the will left behind by Mr. Asogi. It is a 2-paged will. Moments ago, your precise words were the 3-paged last will and testament. Bah! Could it be that originally there was a 3rd page? For a moment I thought perhaps you'd identified something worthwhile, but it's a mere trifle, I see. Governor Caden, what can I do for you, sir? You were present when the Japanese man penned his last will and testament. I was there for sure. I remember the black, Wareham-like scrawls to this day, and I'm quite certain there was a 3rd page at the time. Only the first 2 pages were the actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the 3rd was a message to his lad back in Japan. Why isn't that there, though? Legal purposes, we required only his will, and we would not wanted any uncomfortable words about Britain to get back to Japan. So it was the sign of the 3rd page on tonight been sent. That's interesting. I had a right to know what it said, to hear my father's final words to me. The courtroom is no place for sentimentality, counsel. It is for legality. As it happens, I have the 3rd page of the document with me here now. Give them to you at the end of this. No, I'd like to hear them now, actually. I'd like to hear them now. Right now, actually. Right this second. Please. Thanks. What if it's just like, hey, you're pretty great, love you, grow up to be a strong boy.
Objection!
That's it. Prosecution agrees. The court should know the contents of that message. Every possible piece of evidence must be thoroughly examined. That's ironic, because I have gotten in several troubles in this game where I haven't examined the evidence close enough. Oopsie poops. You can't read Japanese, though. Disputable handwriting? Shame on you, Barry. If I could be of assistance here, I'd be happy to translate the words into English for the court. I'm still here. Of course I am. Naturally. Consider myself a member of the judiciary, albeit a lowly one. Perhaps I should quietly withdraw after I've translated Genshin's message. Cooperation is much appreciated. Hey, Knucklebean, how you doing? Happy Saturday to you. Kazuma, the truth is shrouded in darkness, a darkness only our clan's great sword can pierce. Mighty Kuruma, twist thy head, watch them fall, all thy mortal foes. Happy Humble's Burger Farm. I did enjoy Happy's Humble Burger Farm. I don't think we ever finished that game. Maybe we should. It was enjoyable. Oh, right, we got stuck with the chicken monster, and we had to collect like 3 of each ingredient, and we got to the end, and then we died. And I think it was a bug. And then we gave up for the foreseeable future. So he had the will and the sword. So we were right. We were just... May I sew them? Sure. Just twist the sword. Twist the head of the sword. We were right, we were just off. We were technically correct. And that's the best kind. I would like to look at the sword closer. All these procrastinations are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment of this court is long overdue, as the presiding judge had been as accommodating as possible. Yeah, I mean, we've accused you and you've confessed to multiple crimes, but if you want to keep on strong-arm us, that's fine. I really want to look at the sword. Let me look at the sword. Dear God. Let me look at the sword. Please look at the sword. When he murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid of his normal faculties. How dare you? I refuse to believe that of my brother. Too much time has passed. We cannot ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will that he penned in his final moments appears to have been lost forever. I don't know about that, Haas. You seem to be something of a hurry to wrap things up, Lord Strongheart. I wonder why. Heard you state time and again during these proceedings that everything you did was in the interests of protecting British law and order. I stand by that. Without the Reaper, we could never have achieved the reduction in crime the capital has seen. What about Gregson, then? You know, the guy that you ordered dead, and Dr. Wilson, the guy that you also ordered dead. They were no criminals. Use them to achieve your ends. Then you had them killed. However you dress it up, there was nothing fair or just about that. Lord Strongheart, what exactly is it you're hiding? Were you not to quietly withdraw after the translation of your former associate's will? In this courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it is supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present. Disagree? Heavily disagree. Hello, Kitty. Which case... Oh, it's April Fool's Day, too, isn't it? Currently in your first night on the job in Happy Humble, statue moved. You like the farmer? Farmer's my favorite, actually. I almost enjoyed the actual weirdness of serving fast food over the extra weirdness of the fake city and like wandering around and finding them. It was an enjoyable game. Like, I'm not a extreme connoisseur of like lo-fi horror games, but I dabble from time to time. That's gotta be close to my tops. It was just so strange, and it fit working as a food service worker very well, because eventually there's just so many weird things going on. You're just like, I don't know, man, I'm just trying to serve you some burgers and nugs. Just get tired of it all. You're just like, yeah, frying, oh, weird skeleton in the corner, that's fine. Statues running around. Prospector wants a burger, I can do that. Yeah, that's good, cool. Slicing up some lettuce, just like, gotta put in my day's work. Oh, you're gonna strike everything from the record here, huh? Strongheart. To present some decisive evidence. Yes, I'm presenting the sword. I will present the sword. I'm glad that present evidence was the first one on that, because I was just pressing A bunch, and it would have been awkward. But we do have evidence to present. We're getting our theme. Nothing of relevance remaining from the time. It's high time you realize something, my lord. Yeah, eventually all the weirdness in the fast food area... There's no more water left for today. Yeah, the weirdness in that area, I'm just like, this is good. You fuck up? No, you're good. You're A-okay, I promise. Producing evidence of the final hour that escaped everyone else's attention. Nonsense. No, it's what I do best, actually. What do you have? I dare say, the final decisive piece of evidence. I will reveal the whole truth about this rotten tale. Can I have your sword? It's in your sword. Let it be so then. Present whatever you think you have that can settle this decade-old enigma, if you're capable. We're getting the real big objection theme. It's happening. Anyways, it's the sword. That sword is capable. What, do I have to present the will first? That's silly. Oh wait, you know what? No, we probably have to actually... Do we have to examine it? Have I been done in again by my lack of examining here? Perhaps it doesn't mean you twist your head? Oh, got it. We found it. Look what's inside it. Tightly wound sheet of parchment. Scarlet ink. Clint Von Zeeks. I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. Someone just threw in the window on the first night? Just roll the punches. You're just a fast food worker. You're not paid to deal with it. It's all good. Weird creepy crawlies? Totally fine. It's all fine. You just gotta serve those burgers. Don't pay attention to anything else. You'll go insane. But don't worry about it. It's fine. It's just burgers. Just burgers. The date 10 years ago on the fateful nights, when silently concealed inside Karuma, no one knew the last will and testament of Lord Clint Von Zeeks. Oh my goodness, look at this. This is unbelievable. Can I read it? No, I'm not allowed. Okay, so now we have the last one. I thought we had to present it, and then we'd be like, why do you do that? And then we twist it up. It's fine. We got the evidence. It's fine. Anyways, hello. Here's the last will and testament. For you, sir. The last will and testament of Lord Clint Von Zeeks. Document was lost long ago. Farmer's moving ever more to the front exit. Farmer just kind of wants to get out of there, you know? He's like, this place is too weird for me, so I'm just gonna mosey. Impossible. This can't be. Everything that's happened comes back to this will. This document is the key that will unlock the entire mystery. Ooh, you're looking a little unhinged, Mr. Strongheart. Brother's last will and testament. Where did you find that? In your sword. Ultimate weapon Kinsunosogi obtained has lain undisturbed in the hilt of the sword all these years, just waiting the right time to emerge and reveal the truth. The signature and seal certainly look official. You'd recognize your own brother's handwriting. It's true. It's my brother's handwriting. There can be no mistake. Please just tell me what's in this will. I'm begging. Forbid the contents of that document from being read out. Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it. You can't do that. It could literally destroy the meaning of justice in this country. The Roomba exploded. Yeah. Yeah, they do that. It's okay. You'll get another one, I promise. There'll be other Roombas in your life. Demand you hand it to me at once. I think you're gonna rip it up if you do that, so... you already know what's written on this page, don't you? Gah! What are you implying? Court is adjourned with immediate effect. I don't think this is going to be nice. Good moves. Do that, my lord, and you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice. Forcibly ending a trial without good reason, and not any trial. A closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. To defy the monarch's will is treason. Exploding naked mantic, wow. I'm remembering this game. It's good. Right to hear what's in that will. A right and a duty. Well, my lord. It would rather appear as though proceedings aren't going to go quite as you hoped. You fools. Go ahead, Ryunosuke. Read it. The prosecution gives its full support. Thanks. I was going to do that anyways, but I appreciate it. For God's sake. No. I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. The hour is 11 p.m. and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands at my shoulder. He has expressed his intent to invoke the dying ritual of the duel, that I may depart this world with honor, an honor of which I am utterly undeserving. Japanese are a truly merciful people. I, Clint Van Zieks, Lord of the Manor of the Van Zieks estate, hereby confess to the following. I am the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. And will not here discourse the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me as one of them so apparent. However, 6 months ago, I took the life of a member of the House of Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, using his position of power. The law is impotent against such vile avarice. Only a fellow demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, upon whom I willingly set my great hound, but though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems. My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He held over me the threat of exposing my wicked crime to my beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man's bidding for months now, killing those... I'm sorry, I scared. It does actually get pretty spooky, that game. Resident Evil's gotten me a number of times. I'm not looking forward to when we play the Dead Space remake. Killing those he demanded I kill as I watch my former mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded. I realized that I had lost the last shred of decency within me and sunk to the level of a wild beast. Crawly man running around, don't know what to do. There's also Exploding Man next to him. Quite honestly, you just keep on doing your job. I don't think there's anything you can do about him. You just have to ignore him. They just exist. I could be wrong, because I only played that game for a few hours so far. But eventually you just check out and go home. No path back to the light. Be it I or my dear friend Asogi dies this night, I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, male Strongheart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow. So now we know. Yes, Clint von Zieks was a murderer, but somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Mael Strongheart, it was you. A moment ago, you claimed that what the court has just heard could destroy justice in this country, but you weren't trying to protect justice at all. All you were trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature, and the countless lives you sacrificed up till now. It just didn't make sense to me. But the third victim, the former Chief Justice, was my brother's benefactor, and a man of lofty principles. Clint had no possible reason to kill that man. But you did, didn't you, Lord Strongheart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you'd set your sights on. So you used your own hunting dog, Lord Clint von Zieks, to take him down. It had to be done. London's savory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Crime must be cut off at the roots. Just as time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say. Tantamount to cowardice, if you ask me. Which is why I took his place. In order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire. By murdering the man? The Reaper? The Professor? The name makes no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was all done for the furtherance of law and order in London. I'm going to legitimize the murder of my father now, too? Ah, Genshin Asogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I had fully intended to send him back to Japan as we'd agreed. It was you, wasn't it? You killed him. No, it wasn't me who took your father's life. On the night following his mock execution, I went to Lowgate Cemetery at 3 in the morning with Jigoku. There had to be a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Asogi's treatment. After his repatriation, Jigoku had fierce ambition, made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he'd stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough. Shiro, you fool. As you know, Asogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and was subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go as planned. There was an unexpected visitor. The cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves, man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see. Of course, any grave robbers frequented London cemeteries, but that grave on that particular night... blast. If people find out the convict wasn't really executed, the scandal will rock the very foundations of the Empire. Then what do? Shoot him, Mr. Jigoku. Shoot Asogi at once. He can't live now that this is happening. He has to go. So, you had an agreement. Promised him he could return to Japan. Everything has changed now. The truth got out because of this. Both of us would be finished forever. What Jigoku do it? Pull the trigger. Whew. What a twisted tale this has been. Jigoku shot Asogi from the shadows. The grave robber was so close. The blood sprayed over his coat. He fled as fast as his legs would carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Asogi's body back in the grave which he just emerged. Two creepers just exploded next to you. Feel afflictable of heart attack. Yeah, Clammy Hands McGee was me after that game. When I later learned of the waxwork modeler's presence at the scene as well, I made her swear to two things: never to remove the professor's mask, and never to speak of the events of that night. And with that, the secret was buried along with Asogi's corpse. So now you know what really happened in Lowgate Cemetery that night. There's lots of secrets hidden in that game. More than enough. More than I even know of. Oof. Still seems pretty calm overall. Mr. Goku, your Japanese acquaintance who killed Asogi in the end, you see. I knew that man's friend, but when push came to shove, he pulled the trigger. Before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request. So you coerced him, too. Is what happened in the graveyard? By that time, Jigoku was Minister of Foreign Affairs negotiating international treaties with Britain. You can imagine what would have happened if it came to light he'd murdered a compatriot 10 years earlier. Would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that. How do you sleep at night? These past 10 years, I've fought tirelessly with the darker recesses of London's criminal underworld, and I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails and law and order reigns supreme. Could be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't fought crime at all. How dare you? I saved Clint Van Zeeks from dishonor and his death.
Objection!
Whilst behind the scenes, you systematically buried anyone who stood in your way, and then you made my father take the blame. It was unavoidable. It was the only way to protect our justice system. Let's forget the others. Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as the Reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more. That's enough. You have any idea of the conniving that led to the acquittals of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire. Our courts can't function without a Reaper. Can't you see all I've done for this country? This is a struggle. You've done nothing. Lord Von Zeeks here worked tirelessly and justly in court while enduring the disgrace of the Reaper name. Inspector Gregson, fraught with anguish for having sullied his hands through a desire to do the right thing. Not to mention Genshin Asogi risked his life going in pursuit of the truth you've decided to hide. No, the darker recesses of London's underworld were largely filled by you. Only you get it through your thick skulls. That's quite a face. It was all for Queen and country. I'm tiring of that excuse. You consistently twisted the truth for bargaining power to make others do your bidding. Nothing more. Do doors randomly open? Yes, they do. A lot. People who willingly twist the truth and coerce others who have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. Strongly suggest you don't ever talk of justice again. Garrr. Normal people do this. Yeah. Very normal thing. Yeah. Oh, he's broke. Well. Dear me, my good fellows, dear me. This is getting a well-deserved round of applause, I think, for quite a marvelous performance. Just come inside when doors are closed. That I don't know. Those delightfully grave expressions, beautifully pronounced Queen's English. Really, our friends from the Far East are quite the picture of industriousness. Keep your mockery. Please don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you've both said. What are you trying to say? I've occupied the darker recesses of London's underworld and, how did you put it? Done nothing. I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes, I really have done nothing. Which means I can be indicted for nothing. No. It's true, personally I've committed no crime. I've merely been surrounded by fools who've acted very rashly. I don't think this works. Consistently preyed on people's weakness. And what? Threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? You said it yourself, but it's okay. Sure. There's always one last gasp of the villain, right? I'd like to address all the judiciary present. You all know these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down, I believe you also know that to fight those who dwell there requires at least some of us to occupy the darkness ourselves. So let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider the situation with me. If this catalog of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? Learned that the infamous murder of royals and nobles was a respected member of the aristocracy himself, that evidence was fabricated in the scapegoat's trial amid secret negotiations with prosecutors to effect a jailbreak, that the Reaper of the Bailey was an organized group of assassins managed by a Scotland Yard inspector. I think it was just one assassin, actually, but finally, it was all masterminded by the Lord Chief Justice himself. All faith in the police and prosecutor's office would be completely lost. I mean, as it should be, to be honest. It was 100 years ago and 1 in 10 the population were criminals. I don't think that was also true at all, but okay. Accomplished since then, a public policing force, comprehensive set of laws, and if we want to continue to protect this new era of law and order, I say again, we must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We've successfully identified and apprehended the man responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all that was expected of this trial. All these other matters that have been discussed will be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings in the interest of preserving law and order and protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. Well, my lords, ladies, and gentlemen, what say you? Are you guys insane? Farm is officially outside. Good for him. The threat of the Reaper over the years has done wonders for the crime rate. It wasn't a threat, it was a real thing. Oh my god. I'm gonna puke. For your rousing response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with the overruling wishes of the court, the records shall be erased. You have to respect the man's ability to turn a situation to his favor. So Art really is a master of manipulation. There's really only one path left open to me. I shall use evidence. I assume it's time to pull the ears. Only thing that carries any weight in the court is hard evidence. Ooh, even better music. Yeah, I don't know whether anything will come of it, but if there's ever a time for using this particular item we have with evidence, it's now. It's gotta be this, right?
Take that!
Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier. Exposed all the wrongdoings. I've no doubt Mr. Sholmes already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl, so I think it must be time for the great detective to take center stage, don't you? Must I remind you every time? A gentle tug will suffice. Looking in quite the wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo, because I am over here. Well, we've got holograms. Alright. We've gone too far. I'm expecting you back, Mr. Sholmes. Delighted to be here again, Lord Strongheart. What's the meaning of this? Bailiff, seize him. Put that man in irons. Has his hair gotten wilder? Or is that just natural? Been warned once already, man. What the? You can't get a hold of him, my lord. Just go right through him. I'm afraid your efforts are wasted. What is this dance? The great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. Congratulate you on your fine deductions. Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as the telephone? Well, yeah, I heard that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo. Spurred electrical signal transmitted instantly to another place. Sounds are transmitted, so could not Just keep them company, I mused. It's a modest experimentation to develop such a device specifically for this day. Modest? Yeah, just, you know, holograms. Thought we might just as well transmit an entire scene. You can say you're not actually here? Ah, I knew my trusty partner would have no trouble grasping the concept. Let's get out, or I swear to you. Dear me, you on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp of the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally to one asking, where exactly are you? The very question I was awaiting. I'm at present enjoying the air in a rather splendid garden. Not just any garden, you understand, but a garden at Buckingham Palace. Transmitted it to the Queen. Alright. They had to do some hand-waving to get to this point, but it's fine. It's fine. They resurrect spirits from the dead in the first game. It's fine. Iris and Curry enjoying some tea with Her Majesty. Not just any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. Majesty, you can't be, I mean, no. This is some sort of unforgivably distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective, that's all. Closed court session attended by elite members of Judiciary is a rare event. I presumed Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings, so I decided to show her. Everything from start to finish. Indeed. The remote cinematograph. Cinematograph. Some kind of nightmare. Just as I appear to be standing before you, regaling you with talk of my latest invention. No doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true. Her Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assumed there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this country is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. You. I confess I'm quite impatient to hear Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery in which you've been engaged over the past 10 years. I was so sorry to keep everyone waiting. Vicky and I had so much Queen Victoria. In fact, I have a little message here from Her Majesty. Well then, if everyone's sitting comfortable. Forthwith and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to Male Strongheart is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against his country in a public trial by jury in the coming days. Majesty doesn't seem to believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. Male Strongheart. The darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions these last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, your brand of law and order has no future, because you no longer are the Lord Chief Justice. I should have spun a couple more times for effect. You are nothing but a criminal in the eyes of the law and Her Majesty the Queen. Come on, give me like a really good breakdown. Like super good. That's pretty good, actually, yeah. That's a good one. Man, they still managed to surprise me. We had put together so much of this case, and they still threw me for a loop with some of those final revelations. That's wild. One thing's left well, and she confessed to everything. When those words came out of Sogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. And I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. I couldn't find the damn document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there. Precipitated the jailbreak plot, I presume. The need to obtain that will was all-consuming. I was sure if I facilitated Asogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere on his person. But despite searching his limp body in the cemetery that night, it still eluded me. Never even crossed my mind it was in the sword's hilt. Pains me now as my brother left this world without a word to me. I'm sorry, Lord Van Seeks. In point of fact, I think perhaps this isn't the case. How can that be? There's more to his last will and testament. Oh, that we conveniently didn't read. That's fine. Yeah, sure. As I confront the prospect of my demise, I feel bitter regret for my younger brother. Barak, you have always looked up to me, and now you follow in my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It's my fervent wish my unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. Ask not for understanding, for none could understand my depravity. I ask only for forgiveness. It's agreed to honor my two final wishes. The first is that this document survives. And second, I cannot commit to paper. I've confessed my sins to my wife. May she find resolution in my death. My eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeeks. Woof. Colluded with Shishiro Jigoku in a criminal plot so immense it spanned the oceans. You cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. Why now, a whole decade later? To ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough. Short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General, I could have no real power to effect the changes needed in this country. For that promotion, I needed to ensure no remnants of the past remained. Like everything to run smoothly in the exact manner that I prescribed, like a well-oiled machine. I was just a step away. Did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed? Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something? Such as... You very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like demeanor in the proceedings just now. But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. Ah, right. Gotta make him not guilty. Oh, hey! He's back. Look at him. I don't allow myself to ignore this possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese. Yes, you were pretty racist, yep. Maybe stop that. Allow me to apologize for countless discourtesies on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent. Truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made by the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, who is not dead. Saving the best for last. What a relief. Truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. The truth is a guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually it's not true. Truth can also cause great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair. For that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth. Do it instinctively, even. From there, the darkness grows until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. That's why it's my belief that we must all resolve never to avert our eyes from what is just and true. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Nice. Compliment you on your grand opus before I go. Without your beautifully composed case against Lord Strongheart, Her Majesty would have been unable to act. Thanks to you and your fellows, the haunting undertones corrupting the justice system of Britain have been silenced. Till our paths cross again somewhere. Here, this long trial has finally come to an end. My apologies for any anxiety caused. We'll meet here before long, Prosecutor Barrock seeks. Not guilty. Let's go! Court is adjourned. Really is all over. Well, dang ol', we did it. It was a very splendid show. be smiling from ear to ear, but you look rather glum. Well, of course I'm delighted about the verdict, but in exposing the truth, I'm afraid I've caused my client a great deal of pain. I'm really not sure that's what a lawyer ought to be doing. Whew. Honestly, that was a top 3 Ace Attorney game out of the 10 I've played. If you consider them as like a duology, even. It's probably even higher, but... Because the first one is a lot of setup, but it closes out pretty much every mystery. Almost. There's a couple that I still got questions on, but... the twists and turns of the plot were really good in this one. I enjoyed the jury system. I mean, and there's not a ton you can do to change Ace Attorney. It's just kind of like, hey, here's another story to play through and another mysteries to solve. And we don't change too much, and that's alright. Especially if the writing continues to be this darn good. I'm saying there's one thing that's still bothering me. Well, that Clint wrote. What about it? Oh, the second request. Right. I think perhaps I might be able to shed some light on that. Went to the prison to say my farewells to Genshin the day before. Aren't you putting up more of a fight, Genshin? If you'd only agreed to it, Shiro and I would gladly petition the government. We've been through this already. You don't need to worry about me. Anyway, Yujin, I have a favor to ask you, something of great importance. I'm going to tell you an address. I need you to go there at once in secret and telling no one. You should find a lady of the gentry in hiding there. She's not in a good way, and she's with child. The birth is imminent. As a medical man, I'd like you to attend to her. Is the child yours, Genshin? Don't be daft. It's a favor that was asked of me by a man I knew. It was his dying wish. Oh, is Iris Barrock's niece, then? Something should happen to you. Tonight, you're gonna be... You never know, though, do you? What life will bring. Alright, then. Tell me the address. I'll head there at once. It's Shishiro. Nope. Not with him. This is a favor I'm asking of you, and only you, Yujin. Very well done. An old house in the middle of nowhere. On the floor. More danger. It was a torturous birth. It did everything humanly possible for her and her child. Wife, the widow, died. Old travel trunk caught my eye. Clearly... Was it a Baskerville? Yeah. Okay. So Van Zeek's is his uncle, or her uncle. Didn't really have any choice. Brother said he confessed everything to his wife, so she must have been beside herself with worry for her child. If the true identity of the professor were ever to be made public, the girl would be forever branded as the daughter of an infamous mass murderer. Imagine that at his final hour, Clint made the obvious choice. He thought to himself, this Japanese man is someone I can trust. my friend if he would be a father to her. So Iris is Iris Baskerville, or Von Zeeks. Look into my eyes and agreed to it on the spot. All that can be said is give her a name. When I had come to Britain, I was trying to escape from the grief of losing my darling wife, so it was her name that I gave the little girl. Iris. Just pinch me on my behind hard. My dear fellows, can you hear me? Yes, yes, we can hear you. You see what excessive tugging can do? Let that be a lesson to you. Thanks. You're simply marvelous. Your checkmate move was a stroke of genius. Indeed it was, wasn't it? Surpassed myself, I feel. It's become apparent to me that to stop the Lord Chief Justice would require such measures. What a wonderful outcome. Majesty Queen Vicky said she thought my special blend was delicious. Well, I'm sure she did. For all, no one brews a more delicious tea than you do. I'm afraid I couldn't. Reaper of the Bailey, flustered by a 10-year-old girl. Again. No, really? Oh, poop. But I give you my word that I shall present myself at your residence in the near future to express my gratitude. You promise now, I won't let you forget. Bye for now, then. Alright, Iris. Thanks for all your help earlier. Well, that was nothing. Just come home soon. I think I ought to be leaving. Von Zeeks, would you care to accompany me? Certainly. Let me once again express my deep gratitude to you. I believe you saved my life. I don't think there's a believe. I think you just did. I intend to publicize the full truth about the Professor case. Once that's done, the Van Zeek's family will be ostracized completely from London society. As soon as I'm free from my employment, I shall leave the capital. Don't be a fool. Those the actions a man once feared as the mighty Reaper of the Bailey. Oof. Back to Baker Street. It was then that I came to an important decision about my future. It's a party, isn't it? Gotta go off with a bang. I mean, fireworks, ideally, but when you ain't got fire, smoke's the next best thing, ain't it? Right, I'll remember that. You don't have to reload that thing every time I speak. It's quite the most extraordinary thing. Sure, you'll defy your expectations. Take down every detail now, Mikitoba. World-famous great detective regaling his partner with a tale of his adventure. Would you care to hazard a guess? Where do you suppose the fiendish runaway had concealed himself? Would you believe inside the trunk I found abandoned in his cabin? I would believe it, yes. I say, Mikitoba. I detect not a hint of surprise. Wonder why that is. Maybe because I was there at the scene as well, Sholmes? What? You were? Why did you say so before? Not quite the sight I was expecting, but still. Hard not to feel privileged to see it. Oh, it's Gregson's pocket watch. 10 years without fail, it measured every second of the man's remarkable career. No one else. It's gotta be me. Quite right. After all, the boss was my boss. Find your dad. Probably won't. Not entirely sure that would be appropriate. Yeah, I think, it might be best to, well, forget that promise. Always wondered who my real daddy is. Of course, I don't know where I've come from. Thought it might tell me something about myself, but... maybe not anymore. Daddy's the greatest in the world. I don't think it matters what his name is or where he's from. It might. It might, a little bit. I mean, really, her dad is Herlock, so that's fine. Link Mikatoba. Yes, Shams. I think I ought to express my gratitude to you. For 6 years, you and I solved many a mystery together, and during that time I remember countless expressions of gratitude for our good services. But a moment ago, I heard the most pleasing expression of gratitude of them all, and I should never have experienced it. Were it not for you, the old softy Shams. But I must confess, it's a weight off my mind to hear you say it. Well then. This calls for a lengthy violin recital, wouldn't you say? Oh, well, food would go cold. That's the only problem. Maybe next week? Are you sure a week is long enough, Alex? Reeling from the most shocking revelations, troubling cases, returning and leaving to the suite of rooms, there's always warmth and happiness to be had. The home of the world's greatest detective, and my home, too, with my greatest family. Time has come, time to bid this place farewell. Makes sense. Important matters Sasato needed to take care of, I see. I wanted to thank you for what you did earlier. With Iris, I mean, when the subject of her father came up. When I read Sasaki-san's reports about his final days in London, my heart nearly stopped. You'd stumbled across the crux of that terrible case, the dog's collar. It's a work of fiction, but based on the grim reality of a huge beast of a dog being used as a murder weapon. Dog of a Baskerville family emblem around its neck. Armed with those two clues, I fear you and Sasato might arrive at the truth, so I invented that story about having collapsed to justify her leaving London and returning to Japan at once. All in aid of halting any investigations you and she might have been contemplating. He had already figured this one out. It's the only one I didn't record in meticulous detail. All this to stop Iris from discovering the truth about her father, because Trump told me how astute she was. Probably true. I need to talk to you about something as well. This is a long post-game session. I'll be returning with you to Japan. That makes sense. Really only here as a substitute for Kazuma, after all. He's in Britain now. Locum student Naruhodo doesn't really have a right to stay, I think. Better part of a year immersed in this world, but always aware of a seed of doubt inside of me. Until today. Totally focused. I was sure of my belief in my client, and I was sure I could see the trial through. And I finally realized no one else chose this path for me. I chose it myself. Path of a defense lawyer. Yeah, that's what I am now. That's what I'll be going back to with you to Japan as. This path will be following for the rest of my life. Just want to let you know I'm back. suppose this means it has to be farewell soon. So always supposed to be coming to Britain as Kazuna's assistant. Day's finally come. You're really leaving town right now. I'm afraid so, Iris. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I'll do without your wonderful cooking and delicious tea. Oh, I wish you weren't coming. You have to come back and visit. Of course. I promise. It was a very brief reunion, but it was a pleasure to pursue a case with you again after so long. For a while, at least, it felt like old times. Just go and say goodbye to the professor as well, I think. Alright, Iris, you do that.
スサトさん
I've
Actual
just checked,
words.
Naruhodo-san. Your luggage is already on board.
Why is this the
Such a
only
beautiful morning.
voiced
Perfect
part
for
of the
embarking on a journey, isn't it?
Before I set off, I'd just like to say how thankful I am for everything you've done for me. And give my warmest regards to Kazuma, please.
Actually, I think you ought to give him your regards in person, don't you?
Sorry?
Ryunosuke,
Kazuma! What are you doing here?
do you really think I'd miss my best friend's departure?
Thanks. To be honest, I'd been looking forward to our wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's capital, but,
Well, we'll have to save that for another time. Personally, I'm looking forward to facing you in court again.
Me too. But, we're both defense lawyers, so,
I'm going to become a prosecutor. I'll stay in Lord Van Zeek's tutelage for the time being, but before long, I intend to be just as formidable as the Reaper himself.
That's great. Maybe don't
I
get
see.
crazy like you were earlier, so.
Actually, Ryunosuke, I have a favor to ask.
name it.
I'd like you to take care of this for me for a while.
Karma? Why?
Because I've seen it now. I've seen what's inside me, the demon that reared its ugly head that day. It was only for the briefest of moments. The last time I came face to face with that inspector, but it was unmistakable. I wanted to kill him. I've always known there are demons that live inside people. And now I know there is one in me. The fact that it very nearly consumed me is something I'll carry with me until the end of my days, while I devote my life to fighting those whose demons have got the better of them. As a prosecutor.
So, that's what you've resolved to do, is it?
Until I'm ready to face the demon within me, to slay it once and for all. I leave this in your care, if you'll take it.
Of course I will. I'll keep it by my side. Always. Until we meet again, then. You have your path to follow, and I have mine.
Naruhodo-san? The path you're going to follow from now on. I wonder if I might follow it at your side, and unless I'd be a burden.
What? I would very much like you to come with me. But aren't you...
You're so predictable, Ryunosuke.
I am?
Honestly, you never change at all. But that's what I like about you.
You mean you knew about this?
It was the evening after Lord Van Zeek's trial came to an end. She came to see me at the prosecutor's office.
Really? Oh, when I had that conversation with Professor Mikotoba.
So, you'd go with Ryunosuke back to Japan?
Yes. I know it's unfair of me to follow my own interests like this.
Coming here especially to tell me. You're a stickler for etiquette, aren't you? Well, what are his feelings?
We've never discussed it, of course, and Naruhodo-san has made no such suggestion. I worry that perhaps I'd be a burden to him.
He's just as much of a stickler for etiquette as you are. He'd never say anything before he was asked. But I'd feel happy knowing you were with him. Look out for him on my behalf, will you?
Of course.
Susato-san.
What do you think, Naruhodo-san?
With you by my side, no trial would seem too daunting. So if you're willing, I'd be honored if you'd come with me. Together we can take on the world.
I'm terribly incompetent, but if you'll have me, I'd
Good
be delighted.
lord. Literally has saved us like 50 times. It's
no,
fine.
No, not at all. If anyone's terribly incompetent,
me outta here.
it's me.
It's time to go.
What's wrong?
Your luggage, Susato-san. There's no time. The ship's going to set sail any minute now.
Yeah, she already did.
It's all right. There's no need to worry. As as it happens, my luggage is already on board too.
It is?
Your fine judicial assistant has everything in hand as always, I see.
Oh.
Bruno, your ship's about to leave.
Time to go then. Look after yourself, Ryunosuke.
Kazuma, draw your sword. One day, when our paths cross, once more, we'll fight a duel of words across the courtroom. A day I eagerly await as a lawyer.
I've been waiting to hear you say that, partner.
Don't forget me then, Kazuma.
As if I could, Ryunosuke.
And Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. I'm very much indebted to you.
Indeed, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you are.
I'll never forget all you've done for me during my time in London.
Quite. I should like to think you will remember your debt of gratitude. Especially when I visit you in your country. What? The truth is, although many are ignorant of the fact, the world is far smaller than most folk realize.
Well,
Yeah,
I'd
I
be
wonder
delighted
when
if you came to Japan.
this writer is gonna make another game.
Oh yes.
He moved on from the
Welcome
mainline
to
Ace Attorney
Open
games
Arms, Mr. Sholmes.
after Apollo, and then
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait.
made Ghost Trick, which is one of my favorite DS games. And then he came back and did both of these games, which is more spin-offs.
My dear fellows.
And he hasn't... The last one released technically in 2017. I'm sure he did some, like...
And that brings us to the end of my adventures in Great Britain.
consultation on the port, but... You'd think he'd...
Peculiar twist of fate.
He
brought
must
me
be working on
halfway around the
something
world
else.
those many months ago. But that was just the start of my journey. Who knows where fate will lead me next? Still, I'm confident.
still
this
works
won't
for
be my
Capcom.
last meeting with the friends
It's not
I've
like the
made.
Danganronpa and
And when we're together again,
Nonary Games writers who
no doubt
left
the first
to
words I'll hear
do,
will be,
or creators, I guess, that left to do their own thing with Tukio.
Come, the game is afoot.
Honestly, just looking forward to whatever he makes next,
The
because
ship with our friends
just don't
from the
miss.
east
Apollo Justice was
sailed
okay.
steadily
Other than that,
towards the
really don't miss.
horizon. But Sholmes' face was alight with joy. The times may change, but a steadfast friendship will remain true, you'll see.
Shu Takumi. There we go.
We have but to gently close our eyes, and we are with our companions once more.
So I do just that. And when I do, I can hear his strong, familiar voice ring out.
Objection!
Until we meet again, Bruno.
Yeah, I really do wonder what he's working on. Last game came out in 2017. I will keep watching with great interest, because this was... Oh, there we go. By far the best Ace Attorney's been in a decade, so... And the strongest I think it's been as a brand, with the trilogy and everything. So, honestly, I just hope this leads to more and more Ace Attorney stuff. Hey, Professor Layton got revived, which I can attribute entirely to me purchasing one whole copy of the second and the third game that I sold originally. That one purchase put him over the top. They're like, all right, we'll make another game for this guy. He obviously enjoys it too much. So why not more Ace Attorney games? I mean, Spirit of Justice came out in what, like 2018? Something like that? So even like a mainline game, no, 16. Oh my god, it's been 7 years. Ugh. Gross. Ace Attorney Investigations 2 still hasn't been localized, which is absolutely brutal. I don't know what they're doing. Well, they better keep on working on stuff, because, gosh darn it, these games are good. Good stuff. Excellent game series. And this means we're spooling up for our next weekend game. There's a poll on the Discord that if you want to check it out, I think it's on a 3-way time right now. So if someone wants to snipe that, that would be great, because otherwise I'm forced to make a decision, and that is possibly my worst fear in life. That probably just makes you want to make it a 4-way tie in the poll now, but dear God, please, I will go and starve myself because I can't decide what to eat. It's a real problem that I need to work on. And the game is way more of a stressful decision than that. So, check it out when you can. Anyways, this has been a great time. Thanks so much for watching and following along on our journey through the legal systems of both Japan and Britain and uncovering a deep, deep conspiracy. But hey, until next time, thanks a bunch for watching, and have a great weekend. We'll be back finishing up Resident Evil 4 and Exocolonist next week. So, look forward to that. Toodles.